Why Bitcoin is superior to gold. So you guys may have seen the other video, that I did comparing Bitcoin and real estate. If not, definitely recommend checking that out because I want to do kind of a couple of these videos comparing Bitcoin to the different asset classes. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So many of you guys are probably familiar with the history of gold as money around the world, right? This dates back thousands and thousands of years. But ultimately, in many ways, due to gold's flaws, it, really has failed in many ways as money because these flaws exist. And so I want to talk about what those are specifically, which again brought in the need for, governments to have a desire to issue their own currency and be able to go into debt beyond the assets that they actually have. Bitcoin is not necessarily this, theory of everything that it will just fix all of the world's problems. But if we can actually fix the money and have a hard money that people, can't be debased when holding, and a special small group of people can't just print as much as they want for their friends and make us all poorer in the process, it actually, I think, is one of the biggest levers we can pull that will make probably the most change in the world of any sort of like single individual lever that we can pull. And so let's talk about what a few of these things are. So number one, Bitcoin could be sent in both large and small amounts. So with gold, this becomes kind of challenging, right? If you want to buy, just a bottle of water or something, doesn't take a lot of money, right? And so if you're going to actually pay with gold, what are you doing? I mean, are you flaking it off into like little, micro amounts that then the merchant has to weigh to make sure it's, enough? Pretty challenging to do that, right? And so it's also, again, quite dangerous moving with large amounts, relatively speaking. And so with Bitcoin, it's immensely fractional, right? Down to the Satoshi, and even that you can go smaller than that. But realistically, you can pay, a fraction of a penny to somebody, or you can pay $1 billion in a single transaction. And that ability does not exist in gold, and is fundamentally flawed in a way that gap can never actually be overcome. The way, it was attempted to be overcome was to issue paper units that were then convertible back and redeemable. It's probably a better word for gold, when it was held and custodied, by the banks, and the dollar was actually backed by gold. But again, that trust got broken because it's way too enticing for people to just go, just print a few more dollars than what we have. We could pay for this thing and we'll deal with it later and we'll get it back. And I think history proves that trust will be broken over and over and over again. And so instead of humanity continuing to perpetuate this cycle, which inevitably will break again, let's not make that same mistake. And so I think Bitcoin, in a fundamental way, presents a solution to this problem of being able to be used in large, medium, small amounts. Second, Bitcoin makes it easy to verify its authenticity, right? And so as I mentioned with gold, you go to a store, you go and pay. There's some tricks, people can do to try to verify if the gold's actually real, but it's not that easy. And so, it's why the term fool's gold came into effect, right? You had people, painting other kind of rocks to make them look like gold. And you have, other ways that people could present and essentially create fake money that if someone's not very sophisticated or doesn't have the processes in place to verify its authenticity could be, basically swindled and accept fake money. And so that's not good. With Bitcoin, it's extremely easy to verify its authenticity if two people are using a wallet that obviously recognize the standard that is Bitcoin. It's essentially can be done for you at no cost today. Third point, Bitcoin can easily be sent over long distances. Great. A lot of the world continues to, a lot of business and commerce around the world continues to be, spread its wings out and fracture all around the world. And so you have, products being grown in one market, being shipped to another one, being packaged there, sold in 10 different markets. And so we live in a global economy, and therefore merchants deal with each other that live really far apart, right? It's not every merchant dealing with each other. It's not just, two people who operate a business on the same corner together. And so paying gold over any distance is really challenging, right? This is why credit and debit cards came into effect as opposed to just having cash, because that same problem exists with cash as a bearer instrument. And so the internet and electricity extends who you could do business with. And so Bitcoin makes it super easy to do business over a long distance. Number 4, Bitcoin's a 24/7 market with better liquidity. And so again, like a lot of times people see some event happens, Bitcoin goes down, they're like, oh, I thought it was a store of value. Why is the price going down? It's like, well, it's one of the only markets really that's 24/7 instantly liquid everywhere for everyone all over the world. And so again, if people get put in tough spots, they sell what they can, not what they want to. And Bitcoin is always able to be bought or sold, given the fact that it's a global market that's open 24/7 with significant liquidity. And so this is really important for people who want to accept it as a payment in their business, right? Bitcoin's always open. Bitcoin has cheaper transaction fees. Yeah, I mean, try to send somebody, $50,000 worth of gold or $300,000 to buy a property or whatever, even some small amount, right? There typically is, I mean, short of just two people handing each other a gold coin, there's some significant costs in transacting with gold directly with people, because you have counterparties in the middle, you have to verify authenticity, you might have to have security move it if it's a significant enough amount of money, and Bitcoin just does not have those flaws. Number 6 here, Bitcoin has transparent ownership. And so at any moment, you know how much exists, what wallet owns which Bitcoin, and that's visible to everybody all the time, 24/7. With gold, it's not so clear, right? You look on like websites like AllMarketCap that list and compare, the value of these global assets. Sure, I mean, they sound right now, I think gold's probably somewhere around 17 trillion or something. Not really clear exactly how much gold exists. That number is like what they know exists, but probably more gold that's not factored into that. It's also not clear if a country says, oh, we have this much gold, that they actually have it. You're trusting an auditor who can't really prove to you that they have that other than just their word. And so do you believe them? Do you not? Humans are flawed. Humans lie. Don't believe them. So number 7, Bitcoin has a known max supply. Yeah, I kind of touched on that a second ago. It's very clear. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. How much gold exists? We don't really know. There's estimates of how much gold there is yet to be mined on Earth. That's unclear. There's estimates of how much gold has been mined. That's unclear. There's also gold outside of this planet. Obviously a harder endeavor to actually bring some of that gold back, but we don't really know how much exists. And so that is not finite scarcity in the way that Bitcoin offers. And so that's a unique trait of Bitcoin, arguably the most important, but not the only important thing. Number 8, Bitcoin has fast transactions. This is a big misconception. A lot of people, and rightfully so, I think have a fundamental misunderstanding. I mean, Bitcoin's always had, by a lot of new people to the space or disingenuous people, this perception of being slow and having slow transactions. But it's just not the case, right? You have Lightning Network, which is essentially instant, right? I mean, in the time of me saying, I want to send somebody $1, enter it in, click a button, boop, done, final, irreversible, money sent, and the transaction's over, right? And that's just not the case when you're comparing with a gold transaction done, over any distance and over any amount beyond just, again, handing somebody a gold coin. Number 9, Bitcoin is easy to transport. So there's not carrying costs, right? You could fly into a new country, enter that country, jump in a cab, go on a train, drive your own car, walk. And Bitcoin isn't any heavier if you're going to carry $100 worth of Bitcoin or $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. That can be, stored in 12 words in your head. It can be stored on a little physical device. It's just data. And so that is not true, even remotely true with gold. The more gold and the heavier the quantity that you're trying to transport, those costs scale in a pretty incredible way for anybody who's tried to move large amounts of gold. Now, number 10, Bitcoin is easily divisible. This kind of touches on point number 1, just being sent in small and large amounts. But yeah, I mean, you can pay somebody one Satoshi, which right now is 0.0006 cents, right? A fraction of a penny, or in any other quantity that you need instantly. And certainly for amounts, below like $5,000, $10,000, like you can just pay that on Lightning, done, super divisible. There you go. And the last point, Bitcoin has no inflation, right? There's obviously emissions, right? There's an issuance schedule, I guess is probably a better way to say it, of, how many Bitcoin get mined roughly every 10 minutes when a block is found. And there's obviously the halving every 4 years, which cuts the amount found in each block, in half every 4 years. And that will continue to happen, which is why Bitcoin continues to get, more scarce, I guess is one way to look at it. But ultimately, there's only 21 million. That number doesn't change. Your percentage of the total slice, given that, over 19 million Bitcoin already exist, it's very clear how much you own of how much there is to own. And that's just not true with an asset class like gold. So yeah, again, I hope these 11 points and some of the commentary were interesting for you guys. If so, if you guys can like this video and share it, that would be super helpful. Like I said, check out some of my other videos. Let me know if there's some topics you'd like me to cover. Till next time. Thanks.